Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Did you see the body?
I assumed he was dead.
Assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
Summertime 1990s. That's right. Movies that fit into that category. May 1st to August 31st, 1990 to 1999. Doesn't matter their status, whether it was a blockbuster or a big movie, just as long as it came out in that period. So far this month, we have done Die Hard 2. We did Armageddon. We did Lake Placid. Well, we're heading into dark territory, my friends. That's right. It's the 30th anniversary, if you could even believe it, or if it qualifies for an anniversary, of Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. Let's talk about that.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological. Just got to stay in a positive frame of mind.
My name is John.
Hi, I'm Stu.
This is Patrick.
We're here to talk about, it's not Van Damme, guys. We've switched 90s martial art action heroes. This is our first almost 400 episodes of The Pint, and I'm 99.9% sure that we have never talked to Steven Seagal. So we're talking Steven Seagal, and we're talking the sequel to what is pretty much, right, Patrick, you'd agree, considered his best movie.
Yeah, it's a low peak, but it's a peak. Under Siege 1, yeah.
Yeah. Stu, you'd never seen Under Siege 1. You still haven't seen Under Siege 1, as I understand, right?
I have not seen Under Siege 1. I'm not entirely sure, based on viewing this movie, that I've ever seen a Steven Seagal movie. So this may have been a first for me. This may have been my Steven Seagal cherry, perhaps. I'm not sure that I've ever watched his shit. Growing up, I was a Van Damme guy, and Van Damme guys don't watch Steven Seagal movies.
Okay, all right. I've watched both, but I get it.
I will Venmo you $5 cash if you never say the phrase Steven Seagal cherry again. Please.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea,
well, both this and the first Under Siege are Die Hard clones. There was that huge 20, 30 maybe Die Hard clones in the aftermath of Die Hard. This would be Die Hard on a train. And then the first one would have been Die Hard on a battleship, I guess.
Yeah.
Was
it an aircraft carrier? I can't even remember.
No, it was a battleship.
Okay.
USS Missouri.
Yeah. Interesting factoid about this movie right off the bat, before we get into production. John Peters was originally the producer on this film. I was reading this today and I had to laugh about it.
Could this movie get any crazier? John Peters is
he got fired. Steven Seagal got him fired. And here's the reason why. Steven Seagal signed up to do this movie. He had a contract clause where he got to pick certain cast members and stuff. John Peters, who did not produce the first Under Siege, hired with a pay or play deal, meaning if he didn't make the movie, he still got paid his cash, Gary Busey to reprise his role from the first movie, who he was the secondary villain in the first movie. He dies in the first movie. And John Peters said, I don't care. Just give his character a scar. I want Gary Busey.
Give him a scar.
So he blows up in that movie.
It's not ambiguous. He's on I think he's on a hijacked North Korean submarine and the entire thing blows up and sinks.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
The scar treatment would not really work.
Oh no, maybe the quadruple amputee, blinded with like half of a head missing. But
he comes through like Dr. Loomis in Halloween 4 with just some scarring on his face.
Went to the same medical institution to get the rebuild.
So Seagal freaked out, was very pissed off about that, and basically said, "I'm not going to be in this movie if that's what you're doing." And he actually got John Peters fired. They brought a different producer on, and then obviously we'll get into who they hired to play the bad guy and all that stuff. But I think that was pretty funny right off the bat. So Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, came out on July 14th, 1995, very close to 30 years ago from the time that we're recording this. I saw this in the theaters. I remember going to see this in the theaters. Yeah, I did. Directed by Jeff Murphy. Jeff Murphy directed Young Guns Part 2. He had a real thing for Emilio Estevez because he also directed Free Jack, co-starring Mick Jagger. And he was the second unit director on all 3 Lord of the Rings films that Peter Jackson did. So.
Yeah, he's a native New Zealander. He had a very distinguished career before he came over to Hollywood. He did some great movies like Utu, which is about a Maori uprising. He did a fantastic sci-fi movie called The Quiet Earth. It's a very, very eerie, very interesting film. That's nobody ever heard of it because it's a New Zealand cast. And then he just came over and just kind of got swallowed up by Hollywood and made a lot of, direct-to-video sequels. I think he did Fortress 2, if you remember Fortress with Christopher Lambert. Yeah. Free Jack was probably this was probably the last big movie he did, I think. And then he went back to just doing cable stuff. And then he went back to New Zealand.
Yeah, he did, besides the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he was a second unit director on a lot of other bigger movies. I just wrote that one down because that was obviously big. This was co-written by 2 guys who wrote it, I guess, in college and they were trying to sell this as a spec script. So it was not an Under Siege sequel, much like we talked about with the Die Hard stuff. It was originally a script called Dark Territory, and then the name of it was changed to End of the Line, and obviously Dark Territory won out. One of the guys you're going to know right off the bat, it's Matt Reeves, who wrote and directed The Batman.
Is it the same Matt Reeves? Because I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, haha, Matt Reeves, like the guy who did The Batman, except worse, probably.
He was not really happy with how this turned out.
Yeah, he did The Batman, so he's got a lot better in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the remake of Let the Right One In, Let Me In a few years ago, and then a David Schwimmer film early on called
I kind of like that.
The Paul Bear. I never saw it.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I don't know.
He also directed Cloverfield and a couple of those newer Apes movies. I never saw any of those. I got to watch those eventually.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I never saw the first. I'll tell you why I never saw the first one, because someone had told me that there was and this is going to sound silly. But someone had told me there was the ape is abused, mistreated and stuff. And, I make the jokes, and I know we joke with Stu sometimes. Larry loves to joke with Stu about the dog stuff and everything, but I hate that shit too. And yeah, I kind of stayed away from that movie, even though I know that it seems like in the end, the apes probably get their fucking revenge. I own them all because I've heard people say that they're all worth watching, all great, except for Lloyd. Lloyd hated the last one, The War of. I think he said he walked out of it in the theaters. He gets real mad at stuff easily.
The trilogy, The War, because there was one after that last year called Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
No, not even talking about that. I haven't seen that one either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking the original trilogy, and then they did the 4th one last.
Yeah, they're abused a bit at first, and then things work. You could say that they had kind of an Under Siege 2 experience where they're hurt at first, and then it went on to better things.
Okay, all right.
So for the apes, so
co-written by a guy named Richard Haddam. 13 episodes of Titans, the DC show, 4 episodes of Grimm, and movie-wise, a film we did here on the Pint last year before, I don't remember, The Mothman Prophecies. So,
okay.
Yeah, so those 2 guys wrote this thing. It was then obviously turned into an Under Siege sequel. If you go Under Siege 2, the trivia and everything, there was a bunch of ideas that were bandied about. And then they had the ideas for Under Siege 3, which obviously never happened. One of them was Aliens. They are just fucking going balls out. Casey Ryback and Aliens, I guess.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. This was filmed between September of 1994 and January of 1995.
That's whenever you hear those rumors that they were going to make what was it, Transformers and Fast and the Furious crossover or something? Casey Ryback versus dinosaurs or whatever. That's what I want.
There was serious talk that the 3rd Jump Street movie was going to have them join the Men in Black because they were both by Columbia.
Yes. I remember.
I think actually could have worked really well. Actually,
yes.
Yeah, with the sense of humor in those, and I know you're saying Fast and Furious and Transformers. I feel like was there a Jurassic Park one at one point.
Well, yeah, because they're both Universal, Jurassic Park and Fast and Furious. There was
Okay.
I don't know how serious that talk was, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was serious talk.
Yeah.
It's not like Fast and Furious is clinging to realism at this point.
Well,
No, they're bringing back Paul Walker for the next movie.
I saw that. I saw his announcement. He's like, we're going to bring back Brian O'Connor. And then the other thing he said was, he goes, we're going back to street racing culture. It's like, I don't watch these movies, but didn't a Pontiac Fiero go into space? You don't have to come back.
Yeah, the last way is just going to have them hijacking DVD players again.
Again, yeah. Point Break remake again. Filmed in Los Angeles, Missoula, Montana, and Glenwood Springs and Pine Cliff, Colorado. So that's some of the information on Under Siege 2. Why don't we talk about the cast of this thing?
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
Steven Seagal plays Casey Ryback. He is not just an owner-operator of a restaurant in Denver. He's an ex-Navy SEAL captain and just ass-kicking machine. Steven Seagal is an Aikido master. Whatever you say about the guy, he really is that.
Well, I do want a counterpoint. I have read rumors that apparently when he went to get his black belt, he chose the laziest judge in Japan, and the guy allegedly fell asleep during Seagal's demonstration. So that's how he got his black belt. I don't know if that's entirely true. That could be a little sour grapes, because at least in his first few movies, like in Above the Law and Hard to Kill, he really does kick ass.
Well, he's the guy, for me at least, back in the day, when I did watch like Out for Justice and Above the Law, his first few movies, he's the first guy that you saw breaking limbs left and right.
Yeah.
Like with the locks and the fucking, like it's commonplace now in movies to like, break a guy's arm behind his back. That was Steven Seagal's like go-to in the beginning. Yeah. There's actually a scene in the very beginning of this movie. I think the first terrorist hijacker, whatever you want to call him, that he gets into a fight with, he does like a double fucking chop into the guy's like fucking neck. And I even like went, oof, like, God damn.
The scene for me was when he bends the hands backwards.
Yeah.
That was pretty great.
Yeah,
if you want to see, Stu, if you want to see him at like his best fighting, not about filmmaking, but fighting, Above the Law, 1988 or 89, also directed by Andrew Davis, who did his movie Under Siege, and then did The Fugitive after that. That's probably his best fighting condition, I would say, the first movie.
Yeah, I like that one. I even had a soft spot back in the day for like Hard to Kill and Marked for Death and all that.
Take you to the bank, Senator, the blood bank.
The blood bank. Yeah. That's the one I have a sound drop. I don't get to use it a lot on the Pint, but I have a sound drop where it's like, fuck you now, die, from Hard to Kill. The guy taunts him because his wife gets killed, and that's like something about like, say hi to your wife in hell. And he breaks the guy's neck and he's like, fuck you, die. I love that thing.
That's for my wife. Fuck you and die.
So Steven Seagal plays Casey Ryback. Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice. He loved movies with 3 word titles.
And this was actually his first movie after his first bomb on Deadly Ground, not 3 words. Yeah. Where he plays the special forces guy who blows up every oil rig in Alaska to protect the environment.
Michael Caine's the bad guy. There's a scene where he humiliates a bad guy in a bar, this bully guy. It's so fucking cringy. I saw that movie once in the theaters, but I've watched that scene on YouTube a few times for a laugh.
Mike Starr. He beats up Mike Starr.
Mike Starr, right? Yeah. Yes, yeah. And then, he's like, are you a man? Do you think you're a man? And the guy's like, I'm just trying my best. The guy's crying. It's so fucking bad. Steven Seagal wrote that and was like, I'm going to turn this guy around. It was terrible.
He's like this Eskimo chosen one prince or something. Becomes the eagle spirit or something. It's really bad.
So bad.
And I want to say that they recycle some of the effects from On Deadly Ground in Under Siege 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't
when he uses satellite to blow up that Chinese city, that's actually a scene from On Deadly Ground.
Oh, Jesus. Steven Seagal is also almost entirely the go-to answer for SNLers from the 90s when they talk about worst host. Mm-hmm. He was a nightmare. He made them do a sketch at the end of the show where he beats up a bunch of guys. He insisted he had to beat up a bunch of guys on SNL. And then he says something like, this is what happens if you mess with the environment when I'm around. It's fucking awfully cringe. Yeah. But like all the SNL cast members are always like, oh, Steven Seagal, worst ever. So they've had some bad ones. All right, Eric Bogosian plays Travis Dane. Uncut Gems. He was Adam Sandler's brother-in-law.
Okay.
In that Talk Radio, which I've never seen, but it's an
fantastic. That is an amazing movie.
Yeah,
he wrote the play for that. He actually was a playwright. He started out. He was like a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize for that play. He had like 5 or 6 plays done, and a couple of them made to movies too. So this is an unusual choice, let's say, to be in Under Siege 2.
Well, supposedly, I read, who was it? I read Gary Oldman and, there was someone else, bigger Hollywood actors said no to the villain role in this.
Okay.
So they go down the line and they get Eric Bogosian, who also was in a film that I did on Stu's show years ago. And I couldn't remember him being in it, but I think I struggled to remember he might play a radio host in it as well. He's in Blade Trinity, but I think it's like literally a scene. A scene.
He apparently has an uncredited role in The Stuff as a supermarket clerk.
I have read that before, and I think when we did the stuff on the show years ago, I think I remember seeing him and going, oh, fuck, it's Eric Bogosian. Morris Chestnut plays Bobby Zaks, Boys in the Hood, Kick-Ass 2, The Cave, and I think he is on a new like CBS show like about like Watson. I know they do Sherlock Holmes, and I think it's a show about Watson.
Okay.
Called Watson, I believe. Katherine Heigl at 16 years old plays Sarah Rybeck, the niece of Casey Rybeck. We know her from, of course, Knocked Up, 27 Dresses, and she was on Grey's Anatomy for a long time. She also has come out, and this is shit on Steven Seagal hour. But she has said he was ultra creepy to her. On the last day of filming, he said to her, she said, this is a quote, he said to her, hey, Katie, you know that I have girlfriends your age, right? And she said, isn't
Jesus?
And she said, he said, or she said to him, isn't that illegal? And he said, they don't seem to mind. And then I looked this up. You could find it. There's a picture of them at some kind of either premiere or something where they're standing next to each other, and he has his hand full on her chest, and she's smiling, but it's clearly the smile of someone who's like
a hostage photo.
Photo. Look it up. It's creepy as shit. He was 39, by the way, during the filming of this. Not that it would have been better if he was 29. It's just goes to show how fucking gross this guy is. All right, a couple more cast
forgot
members.
to mention that she is the star of Bride of Chucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah, she's the star of Bride of Chucky. I mean, she's not Brad Dourif or Jennifer Tilly, but she's the protagonist of
I've
Bride
never
of
seen
Chucky.
Child's Play is one of those ones.
Seen all the Child's Play movies, all the series. It's a fantastic. I love all of it.
I think the first one's okay. Larry showed the first 2 last year. The second one was like it was like there's certain Larry movies that I'm like, oh God, I'm struggling to get through it. And I had seen it before, probably in my teenage years. I fucking hated the second one. So I think maybe I've gone as far as to see the third one. I've never seen any of them, and I love Jennifer Tilly. Like I have never watched any
from
of that.
Bride of Chucky. It really kicks into high gear. I love all of it. I love Seed of Chucky, which everyone else hates. I love that one. It's just got this bizarre, convoluted timeline that it is never rebooted. It has never written anything out. Everything's in play. The one guy has written the entire thing since it started. So
Mancini.
Mancini, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's been released yet. It may still be like in the queue on my website, but I think coming out on the website in the next month or two, I do my ranking of the Child's Play series from worst to first. So keep an eye out for that. Now that we're talking about Chucky for some reason, because
they're all tied at first for me.
They're all tied at first.
There are no losers in that franchise.
Even the 2019 reboot?
I don't even think that's that terrible. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Yeah,
but for what it is, it's fine. It's fine.
But
I liked it.
I guess I'll rank that as at 1.5 place.
It's all worth it for the this is for Tupac.
The thing I like that one. I enjoyed it. I like Mark Hamill as Chucky. If you're gonna not have Brad Dourif, you might as well have Mark Hamill. I do remember there is an extended scene with a like Christmas gift wrapped head that goes on forever, and I was like, oh God, come on. All right, let me finish up the cast here.
Yeah, we are doing anything to avoid Under Siege 2, Dark Territory.
Yeah, we're getting there.
John's used to that when I'm on the show. I'd rather talk about anything else than what John wants me to talk about.
And you keep coming back. Everett McGill plays Marcus Penn. He is kind of like he's the guy, right? Like Eric Bogosian ain't going to fight Steven Seagal, so you got to have the main mercenary.
He has got a throbbing hate boner for Casey Ryback from start to finish this movie.
He certainly does.
He wants nothing more to get him alone in like an oily pit and just wrestle him into submission.
Yeah.
Or be wrestled into submission.
It certainly doesn't work out his way. You may know him from Twin Peaks. He was in Silver Bullet. And also a movie I just saw last year for the first time and found to be highly overrated. People love this movie, The People Under the Stairs, but he's a full-on gimp in that movie. So worth checking out for that. Brenda Back or Backey plays
Backey, I think it is.
Backey plays Captain Linda Gilder. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, Hot Shots Part 2, LA Confidential, and goddamn, she's hot. I always thought she was super hot. She's hot in this. She just has a very classic kind of like almost like 50s or 40s, like Hollywood beauty look. She's a good looking woman. And then I hate the fact that this guy doesn't have a character name because this guy is character actor, bad guy Hall of Fame. It's Peter Green. As mercenary number 1. Peter Green is fucking Zed from Pulp Fiction from a year prior to this. He's also the villain in The Mask from a year prior to this. And he's also the first person that kind of goes up against Raylan in Justified, a show I love, and kind of rolls the ball as to how the whole show begins. He's only in the first episode. But that guy, man, he kind of just disappeared too. He is really good.
He was excellent in a film called Clean Shaven about a man with schizophrenia. And it's portrayed, it's from his point of view. So, like, you're not sure what's happening in the movie that's real and what's not real. Kind of one of those indies movies in the 90s that kind of never made it to Blu-ray, I don't think. Just kind of slipped through the cracks. But fantastic movie. Fantastic, like almost like a one-man show from him.
Okay.
Really good.
I've heard the title. I didn't know it was him. And yeah, he had a couple of years there in the 90s. And then kind of, from what I was reading, he just kind of became like television, player of the week.
He was also in The Usual Suspects. He threw that cigarette in Stephen Baldwin's face.
Yes, that's right. That is right. And I didn't write it down, but I got to give one more out because he's Mercenary 2. That's his character's name in this. Patrick Kilpatrick, another classic bad guy. And we talked about him during the first Van Damme-uary. He was the villain in Death Warrant.
I'm so glad you mentioned him. Because he also is the guy with the half face paint who holds up the Mexican restaurant in The Toxic Avenger.
Oh, okay.
And for years, I thought that was Peter Green.
Oh, so it wasn't Mercenary 1, it was Mercenary 2.
So to see them side by side in the screen together, it's like a spell was broken. Like this delusion in my brain just cleared up. Because no, it's not. They're two different people. It was amazing.
Mercenary 1 plus 2 equals 3. All right,
not mentioning Mike Ehrmantraut?
Yeah, Jonathan Banks. He was the evil train conductor.
I did not write that down, but yeah, Mike Ehrmantraut, aka Jonathan Banks, aka you know him from Gremlins and a whole bunch of other things. Better Call Saul, obviously. Breaking Bad. Yes, he is the evil train conductor.
Also in Free Jack.
Is he in Free Jack too?
Yes.
Okay, so he has the Jeff Murphy connection. All right, this is how I'm going to do it with this one. We're going to each set up a part of the story. I'll set it up for our Casey Ryback. It's a few years after Under Siege. Casey now owns a bistro in Denver. His brother, who he has not talked to in a long time, has recently died. We find out it was an airplane crash. That's why he's going to travel to LA to go with his brother's daughter, his niece, I think to either the funeral or to pick up the body. But he says, I'm not going to fly right after my brother died in a plane crash. So this is how we get on a train going from Denver to LA. Stu, I want you to set up what the weaponry MacGuffin in this movie is. So many movies in the 90s had one of these floating around, but what is the system that the bad guys eventually want to hijack?
So the bad guys want to hijack Grazer 1, which is a satellite up in space that has orbital Star Wars technology to create earthquakes. Is that what it does? It creates earthquakes. Like it targets fault lines to create earthquakes, except when it also just blows up airplanes for some reason. So yeah, it's this earthquake creating satellite that the government doesn't know where it is and they don't know what it's up to. And it takes 40 minutes to target Washington, D.C., except that it can just target airplanes on the fly with no timing whatsoever. So it's weird.
There's definitely plot conveniences there. I want to point out something I learned today about one of the actors and characters that's in the war room. We have, obviously, I didn't mention him, but Kurtwood Smith is there. The guy who plays like the Admiral was in Under Siege 1, as was the slimy guy who plays the CIA agent who is clearly married but wants to bang Brenda Bakke. He smokes very weirdly, is Nick Mancuso. He was the voice of Billy in Black Christmas. I learned that today on the phone.
Okay.
All the creepy shit.
On the phone.
That was him. So I thought that was interesting. Little fact to it. All right. So so we got our hero. We have our weaponry MacGuffin. The movie's going to center around Patrick. Tell us about our villain and his plan and how he goes about it.
So our villain is dead. At least that's what we're told at first. Eric Dane. Yet another unstable genius recruited by this idiot in the CIA, just like he did in the first movie with Tommy Lee Jones's character, who was a lunatic, but really good at what he did. He has invented some kind of tracking satellite, and there's a long, it's kind of long sequence at the beginning where they show the NASA installing it and then handing it off to the Air Force. And the CIA apparently bankrolled it, and it's got capabilities nobody knows about. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So we end up on this train with Casey Ryback and his niece, and we end up meeting Morris Chestnut, who is a porter. And, we kind of like see all this stuff going on. But what we also see is that the Captain Gilder character played by Brenda Back and the other guy, the other captain from the ATAC Grazer 1 satellite war room who shouldn't be cohabiting. They're having a little bit of sex in a train car, a little bit of sex, train car, boombox, that kind of sex. When the bad guys actually breach the train, they're fucking, and he stops and goes, "What was that?" And she goes, "It's called an orgasm." It was so fucking stupid. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. So we get Casey, and he ingratiates himself with the crew, but of course they
all think he's amazing. That's a standard Seagal cliche. Is every woman is just immediately taken with him. Every guy thinks he's either cool or steps up to him and has to back down in shame.
He makes a cake in a microwave, Patrick. What else do you want from this guy? He's incredible. Don't get rid of the rum. We're going to put that and he's in front of trained chefs. He's whisking a cake mix, and they're all like jerking off, like, "Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! I'm gonna come so much. I can't hold it in." And then let's just get right into it. The bad guys decide to take over the train. They stop the train, kill the conductors. Jonathan Banks gets on board. This is Stu, is this not the most elaborate bad guys boarding? Like, they have fucking Jeeps that they have like conveyors rolling onto the train. What are they doing here?
I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, they have like conveyors and they're loading the train up with things and then they're taking other things off the train. And yeah, Jonathan Banks abducts the train and takes over being the conductor. And these Jeeps come pulling out of the woods. They're like disguised by branches and they come pulling out. It's very weird. It's very strange how they just all get on this train. And there's like so many of them because Steven Seagal probably has it in his contract that he doesn't waste his time fighting any fewer than 20 men.
He is not in the train cars when they take over and everybody gets pushed back into the back to train cars to keep them all away. He is kind of floating around and he manages to immediately take out a couple of these guys right off the bat.
I was going to say he pretty much immediately gets to the top of the train and I was like, oh, it's Steven Seagal on top of a train running around. And I thought we would get a fight scene with him and a guy on top of a train, which I guess we do later, but he's just running around for a while.
He kills the one guy in the kitchen, and then he goes, "Get down!" And then he gets down, and the rest of the chefs get gunned down immediately.
Yes,
yeah, he hides himself in the freezer.
What a hero!
The last thing they ever saw in their sad lives was him making a fucking cake, and they're all like, "Oh, that's fucking awesome." Morris Chestnut, by the way, also as the porter character, also manages to hide away, but his niece, Katherine Heigl's character, Sarah, has been captured. Travis Dane, what are his demands? What does he want? What does he need? What's he going to do?
So he has some kind of unspecified grievance. I guess he's just mad because he got fired. I guess that seems to be what his bone to pick is. In the first movie, it was they tried to kill Tommy Lee Jones, so that's a little more understandable. This one, he just got fired, even though he delivered the program and it was all working and everything. So he is going to target the Pentagon, and I don't know if this is true or not. He says there's a nuclear reactor under the Pentagon, and he's going to hit that with the Grazer 1 earthquake beam, and nuke the East Coast. I mean, that's a big reactor to nuke the entire East Coast if it's underground. I don't know. But before that, he's going to destroy a Chinese chemical weapons plant as a demonstration of his power.
Which he does.
And he's talking to people in the Middle East, just this nebulous concept of people in the Middle East who are going to pay him $1 billion for this. Is he going to transfer the technology to them, or do they just want him to blow up the Pentagon with it? It's obtuse as to what he's actually doing here, but someone's going to give him $1 billion.
He gets paid. He gets paid $100 million to kill someone's wife on a plane.
Yes.
I've heard stories that this really happens. Like, people hire people to kill their spouses. This guy's willing to pay $100 million.
Seriously?
There has got to be a flight of stairs that you could kick her down. That's much cheaper.
I'll be honest. I saw this movie twice in the last week, and I'm not entirely sure if he's getting $1 billion in ransom from America, or the Middle Eastern terror lords are giving him $1 billion just to blow it up anyway, or maybe he's double dipping and is going to get $1 billion from each of them. I'm not sure. I don't know why that never was not made clear to me. Maybe I'm just a bad viewer, but.
Yeah, I saw it the one time, and I also didn't understand where the money was coming from. Yeah, I get that as well. All right, so he has this going on. Casey is loose on the train. Do you guys think at any point in 1995 of how many people? I thought of this immediately. How many people saw that Newton device that Seagal uses to send faxes out, and were like, "I've got to get one of those." It was like the iPad at the time. I looked it up. It was a real thing. It was like a PDA / almost like a BlackBerry. But when he uses that, I was trying to think of 1995 and going, people were like, holy shit.
I can hook that onto the phone wires on a train and send a fax. That's the most 90s thing I can imagine.
Incredible. I got to have two of them. So, Stu, we get some more Seagal action stuff with these mercenaries looking for him. I am going to skip ahead a bit because I just want to mention this because Patrick had mentioned it earlier about how all the women want to be with him, all the men are afraid of him. He also is too cool to react to being shot. There's a scene.
I wasn't sure whether he was shot or not.
Oh no,
it looks like
it doesn't matter with Seagal.
And then he completely no-sells that shit, and I was like, oh, did she miss him?
He's on top of this is later, but it's okay. It's Under Siege 2. We can skip around. He is on top of the train, and they send their silent, hot, black, 6 foot tall, mercenary after him. Mm-hmm. And it's a cool scene. She's on the back end of the train. The train's going around a curve, and she managed to shoot him in the shoulder. A couple of the mercs think that he fell off because they see blood, but they didn't look for a body. But then when he finally comes back in, Morris Chestnut's like, man, you've been shot. He's like, this ain't shot. He's too cool to be shot. He's standing there holding the gun to his shot shoulder, but it's almost like that he had it written, and he's like, well, we have to shoot your character. There's got to be a little bit of collateral damage. And he's like, I won't be hurt by it though. I can't be hurt by it.
I like your impersonation here because I was wondering, why does he whisper all of his goddamn dialogue?
That's Seagal. That's the Seagal mystique. Now, years later, and part of me wants to think this is a little bit of self-aware parody by Seagal, but I know it's not. In the movie Machete, he's having a death duel with Danny Trejo at the end. He's literally run through with a katana out his back. And he looks down and says, oh, this ain't shit.
No, I bet you that was he probably told Robert Rodriguez, I'm fine with you killing me.
But yeah, it can't hurt me. It'll be my choice to die.
Spoiler for obviously a 30-year-old movie, but spoiler for Executive Decision. He probably was fine with him getting sucked out of that stealth because his action let the heroes get on board and they eventually win. You probably had to explain that to him. It's like, you're going to die in the first 10 minutes, dude. And he's like, no, not happening. But what you do sets up everything that happens in the end and the good guys win. Okay, I'll take that one. Okay. Patrick, this
We've
one
skipped ahead about a half hour, so we gotta go back.
we have you pick us up, Patrick, to a point and move us through a little bit.
Well, there
What's
was
happening?
lots of sequences, and they tend to blur together. Of Seagal's stunt double climbing up onto the train, running up and down in long distance shots, so you can't see the faces different. He sneaks back in. He scares the shit out of the porter, Bobby Sachs. Yeah, weird name. Then he kills a couple more terrorists. Then he ducks back out again. Kind of, wash, rinse, repeat. It's just it's a little repetitive. I'll be honest. It's a little repetitive. And then there's a part where he uses an improvised, not quite explosive, incendiary to burn two of the technicians in Eric Bogosion's little command bunker. And then he grabs, I don't know how he knows it's there. I don't know how he knows to grab it, but he grabs the CD-ROM with all the targeting coordinates and then runs off.
Perfect question for Stu. Eric Bogosion's Travis Dane has proven to be the smartest guy in the room. He has taken over this Grazer 1. By the way, Grazer 1, 1995, is that like a tribute or a jab at Apollo 13, Brian Grazer, the producer? I just kind of felt like maybe there was some inside baseball there.
I can't imagine that that's smart.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, Stu, did you at any point think, okay, this guy is obviously well prepared. He's, this really smart guy. Why does he only have one command CD? Like, why wouldn't you make 100 and just like maybe keep 99 of them, in safe? Because like once Seagal takes that thing, he freaks out for the first time in the movie because he's like, I can't target anything. It's like, you don't have a backup? I don't know. I know it's a movie and I know that they had to write it that way, but I wish that he's like, well, I've got a whole bag of backups, but then you find out like Morris Chestnut stole those. That would have been better. Do you think?
I think almost any decision you could make would be better than any decision this movie made. So, yeah, he didn't have time to stop off at National Record Mart and buy some blank CDs. His plan was too busy for that.
Yeah. Patrick, is this the first Seagal movie of his A-list days where he didn't have the ponytail, or did he not have the ponytail in Under Siege?
No, he had it Under Siege. I think there was an excuse like, why don't you cut your hair regulation? And he had some, ancient Eastern wisdom fortune cookie to fend them off. And he definitely had it on Deadly Ground because he was doing the kind of the Eskimo native look.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first one where he gets the short haircut. So yeah, he sets some guys on fire. He takes the CD, and then we get to a point, Patrick, wheel us through this, where he ends up getting knocked off the train, and the train stops and tries to find everybody with the CD, right?
Yes.
Yes. I was kind of amazed that they actually left the train at a certain point. There's really no reason to ever get back on there. And there's really no reason why he doesn't just destroy the CD immediately.
Right.
I don't know why he grabbed it. He should have just shot it, but whatever.
Yeah.
So he falls off or throws himself off. They immediately stop the train. All the mercs go looking for him. And then, Bobby goes running after him. Do I have that right?
Bobby goes running
or does he
after
fall
him.
off? I can't remember if he got thrown off or he just ran off.
Bobby is being chased by the mercs. He ends up, killing he loses the CD, but he kills one of the mercenaries. Seagal ends up over the cliff. And then we have just, like a 5-minute scene of different bad guys rappelling down to get killed by him, which is quite funny. Like one guy rappels down and is about to shoot him, but he grabs him like with his legs and slams his head into the rock. And then the next guy rappels down and he's like, you never learn. And he shoots the guy's, rope and the guy falls. So there's like this kind of stationary, weird, multiple action scene where he's fighting guys, hanging off this cliff. He eventually gets back up, but Marcus Penn, the main bad guy, just finds the CD.
Literally next to the train.
It's next to the train on the track. So everybody gets back on and the choo-choo takes off again. And at this point, this is when they divert the train into dark territory, which is a separate track where it's going to lose all communication with everybody. Meanwhile, back in the war room, they decide, well, look, it's the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. So we have to scramble some stealth fighters,
or at least stock footage of stealth fighters.
Out to stop this train because yes, there are hundreds of people on the train, but there's, millions of people on the eastern seaboard. So the stealth fighters start to go out to that. And then Dane decides to really test the limits of this satellite, Stu, by taking out the stealth fighters. Now, I will say the first one, we just see it from above. I kind of like the effect of when they destroy the second one and it's kind of like right over the train and it actually blows up like over the train. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know about the earthquake in midair, all that bit. I don't know how that works, but.
Well, they didn't really explain how it creates earthquakes on the ground. Is it like an energy beam, I guess? Kind of a particle weapon? I don't really know.
That's what it looked like. The way it wound up, it kind of like, cocked itself in and looked like it blasted a pulse of some sort out. But
like if they just said it was a laser, that would be like, way less of an explanation required. But they specifically said, no, it's a tectonic weapon, which apparently is some kind of real theoretical idea for a spaceborne weapon. They just say it causes earthquakes and there's no real explanation of the mechanism. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah. None of this matters.
No, no, even on its 30th anniversary, none of it matters. Stu, eventually we get Seagal hot wiring a truck.
Yeah, he goes up a hill and he chases down the train and he's flooring it and he's running down the train and then he gets to a cliff over top of the train and he just dives out of the truck and the truck goes soaring over top of the train and Seagal gets out and reboards the train because apparently it's just that easy. Trucks are easily able to catch up to full speed ahead trains.
Truck jumps over the train. Yeah. Seagal jumps on the train, gets back on the train. And I'm sure I'm missing something here, but let's just get right to it. We finally, as Patrick said earlier, the Marcus Penn character, who's proven to be a tough dude himself. He literally ate pepper spray.
People in this movie no-sell everything. Seagal no-sells the shot to the shoulder to the point where, like, one of my notes is, I'm so confused, was Seagal's shot or not? And then, he just completely no-sells pepper spray to the face.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's like nothing like more like Mexican food or whatever he says. And so he finally, his murder boner is there. Peter Green and Patrick Kilpatrick have already died in different ways. Seagal kills Peter Green, and Patrick Kilpatrick actually tries to take over as head mercenary, and Marcus Penn puts a knife through his throat. So now we finally get it. It's
head mercenary.
Head mercenary, HMC, head mercenary, HMIC, head mercenary in charge. So we finally get like their mano-a-mano moment. They do all the things you do in a mano-a-mano movie, moment where like, you take the gun, you drop all the bullets out of it, put it down. But knives are fair play, but I don't know. I don't get all the fight rules. Patrick, their fight, how does it go?
I want to say, like I said, we all make fun of Seagal, but in his first couple movies, he really does have the stuff. He really is very impressive at movie fighting, if not real fighting, movie fighting. And this I think was the first time I noticed that he was faking it. There's several moments in this fight where you clearly see the camera sped up, the camera rate sped up, so you could see him more easily flip Everett McGill. And it was just sad. It's just sad. I think he lets McGill get one shot in. He kicks him in the head, and the rest of it's just nonstop. He owns him the whole fight.
Sometimes I like movies where they do that. Sometimes I like movies where they build up a character to be the antithesis of the main character, and you think it's going to be a good fight, and then the main character just ruins them. Sometimes I like that, where it's like, okay, it kind of works. Like I think quite often of not in that manner. John Wick 2. In John Wick 2, they really sell. What's her name? Ruby. She's like the mute assassin in that. I can't remember her
Ruby
name.
Rod.
Ruby. No, yeah. Oh, Corbin Dallas. No, Ruby Rose. And then when she finally fights John Wick, he just kills her immediately. And that leads to the John Wick mythos. But in this movie, I literally wanted to see this Marcus Penn character actually like maybe get hands up on Seagal, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. And it's so clear to me that he said, this guy's not going to stand a chance, because he does. He just basically beats the shit out of him until he finally breaks his neck.
Completely one side. He gets, like I said, he gets that one kick in, I think, when he's on the ground, and he throws Seagal back for a second, and that's it. It's a little embarrassing, honestly. It's kind of a weak week showdown. So
Right. Yeah, Chun-Li
Now,
kicks the
do
shit
you
out
think
of him.
the problem here is because of what we know in, real world continuity about Steven Seagal? Is that why this fight doesn't work? Because of his just dominating this guy because we know Steven Seagal is an egomaniacal asshole?
I don't think that was that commonly known at the time. And
Okay.
I remember thinking back then, like, oh, that was a little weak.
But no, I get what you're saying, but I think it fits into that. Like, it might be part of how that all came about.
Because you're saying sometimes that works for you, but it doesn't work for you here. Is that because of what you know? Is it that hard to separate Seagal, the human being, versus Casey Ryback?
Maybe, and maybe it was also how much they focused on the Marcus Penn character and how, like, he even has that moment where he's like, I don't fear anybody. He goes, but your uncle makes me a little scared. I'm like, oh, okay. But maybe it's going to be a good fight. And and again, maybe it's also because we did a bunch of Van Damme movies on the show, but Van Damme never dominates anybody. A lot of times in those movies, he's like Chun-Li kicks the shit out of him in Bloodsport until, he turns it around. That happens a lot in his movies. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the fact that you got this guy who is, marquee movie star martial artist. I don't remember Under Siege 1 enough. I almost guarantee there was not like a fight with Tommy Lee Jones. I remember he stabbed him in the top of the head with a knife.
There was a fight, and once again, he basically owns Tommy Lee Jones the whole fight.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's maybe my problem with it. It just it doesn't work here.
I think it would have worked if Seagal had gotten the shit kicked out of him the whole movie, and then when he finally sees the bad guy, he just goes in this like berserker mode and fucks him up immediately. That would have been better, I think. This was just like the entire movie. Seagal just seems like annoyed that he's missing his favorite show or something. He's got to kill these terrorists.
Yeah. All right, so we'll
missing my stories.
I'm missing my stories. So we'll get through the end of this now. He kills Penn. He gets back up onto the main deck. There's a helicopter that's supposed to be picking up Travis Dane with one of those ladders, but the Porter character has gotten up there, taking control of it. I got to bring this up. So Travis Dane makes some kind of like real mouthy, I'm the smartest guy on earth thing. Nobody can stop me. And Seagal shoots him through the briefcase and shoots him and the briefcase, and it stops the fucking like the countdown to this all happening.
Yeah, he's like, it's unstoppable. You can never undo what I have put in motion.
Right.
And then Seagal just shoots the computer, and it's like, oh, okay.
And at least Bogosion has the line of like, I didn't think that would work.
I kind of like that he's undone by his own arrogance a little bit,
Yes.
but yet it is kind of stupid that he would plan this out so elaborately and then forget to bring up backup or, you know what I mean? I don't know.
So the thing I want to bring up though is this train's moving at breakneck speeds. This guy piloting the helicopter has got that ladder in every right spot it needs to be in. It's so fucking dumb because, they need to get Casey's daughter off of the train. So it's like they get her through the hatch and it's right there. And then as the train is going out of control and Casey is going to die, Seagal runs through the entire train. And before the train goes, does it go off the side or crash into another train? I can't remember.
It crashes into another train.
Smashes into the other train.
Right.
And then they start destroying the cars. And then the trestle caves and collapses. And Seagal jumps off onto the remainder of the train that's not on the collapsing part of the trestle, I think.
And he jumps up onto the same ladder.
Yeah.
Which is just right in the right spot again. Yeah.
So that's ridiculous. What's really ridiculous is Dane then somehow reappears and grabs onto it.
That was so stupid. I get it. I understand from watching a lot of horror movies. You got to have like a lot of times that like last like villainous, but like he just got shot through the stomach and fell off the train. Yeah. And now he's like on fire and hanging on.
but he's trying to recruit Casey Ryback as he's hanging on to him. He's like, Ryback, we'd make a great team. Like that's a power move right there.
Yeah. And then what I could say about this movie that I thought was pretty interesting was we then move on to the last scene of the movie, which is Casey in his full dress uniform and his niece Sarah. They're at his brother's headstone, and Universal horror movie ending, man. They're literally hanging onto the ladder. goes to a graveyard, then we get like the Frank Stallone, like, nothing's ever gonna be the same. One of those fucking songs that ended a lot of those movies. So that is Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, celebrating anything? Its 30th anniversary this year. So why don't we go ahead and talk about the box office?
Show me the money.
All right, so 1995, July 14th through 16th, which was weekend number 28, as it says here on Box Office Mojo. Here are the top 5 films of that weekend. Number 5, been out for 5 weeks. It was that year's Disney cartoon movie. Patrick, do you know what it was in 95?
Pocahontas?
Pocahontas, absolutely right.
Oh, okay.
Pocahontas, absolutely right. It made $8 million that weekend. Number 4, out for 2 weeks, made $10 million. Patrick, creature designed by Hans Rudy Geiger. What film? Spawned several like direct-to-video sequels, and the star of the film died today.
Species.
Rip Michael Madsen passed away today. All right.
Which is kind of funny because I remember, this is so tangential, but there was an old episode of the Jon Stewart Show back when he was on MTV, and he was promoting some movie, Michael Madsen, but the guest before had been a very young Katherine Heigl.
Oh, okay.
Old, like younger than this. And he like made some weird off-color creepy comment about her.
Michael Madsen?
On the air.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I like his work, but
same. Michael Madsen was a great actor. He's a great actor, but some stuff going on there.
Lived a life.
Number 3, opening that week, $12.5 million. A movie that I saw way back then in the theaters. I laughed at it, but I have not seen it since. 9 months with Hugh Grant. And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Isn't Tom Arnold in that?
I don't remember. Robin Williams, I think, has a cameo in it, maybe.
Robin Williams is this Russian doctor.
Yes.
With a stupid accent.
Okay.
I
might be thinking of an entirely different movie.
No, I think Tom Arnold might actually be in that. I know Jeff Goldblum is like the best friend character in that.
And Julianne Moore is the girlfriend, right?
Yes, and Hugh Grant is the main guy.
Okay.
I think Tom Arnold is probably like some brother-in-law or something. He seems like that sounds like a brother-in-law role for him.
I'm also 99.9% positive this is like right at the same time that Hugh Grant got caught getting his dick sucked by Divine Brown. That's the movie
like
that was supposed to make
the week of or the week before. Yes.
Yeah. It's okay though. His girlfriend was only Elizabeth fucking Hurley. Okay. Opening at number 2, $12.6 million. It's Steven Seagal in Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, and a movie I just coincidentally mentioned 10 minutes ago, had been out for 3 weeks, $15.6 million, Apollo 13. So that is your weekend of July 14th through 16th, 30 years ago, just about, in 1995.
Yep.
Makes me feel old. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half scale optional. I'll go first on this one. Saw it in the movies. I logged out on Letterboxd and realized I had watched it in like February of 2021 the last time. I feel like I have memories of thinking this was better than it was, but it's one of those movies, and I can compare it to another movie that is another Die Hard clone that I felt like I liked more until I watched it for the show, Passenger 57. This is I think the last Steven Seagal A-list movie. I think maybe I know he did a couple like with
had
DMX,
the Glimmer Man.
Okay, all right. So
and then Fire Down Below was like the first real dud. I think
okay.
That was another environmentalist one.
It's the back half of his career. Yeah, it's a Die Hard clone on a train. You know, Steven Seagal. You go, okay, it's gonna have exceptional action. It doesn't. There's not a lot. There's no fights in it. The one fight that you think is going to be a good fight really. It's a long fight. I give it credit for that, but it's just him dominating another dude. Bogosion isn't bad as a bad guy. He's got like a real kind of like, smirky kind of, smartest guy in the room thing going on. I didn't mind that, but, it's just another GoldenEye plot with a satellite that's the problem. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to kill this one because it has moments I enjoy, but my Letterboxd score of 3 is absolutely wrong. But things happen as you watch things and you realize things. I'm going to go Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. I'm going to give it a 2.25. It's got some moments I enjoy. It's got, the cast is stacked, I think, if you like that guy, right? Like, I love that guy being Jonathan Banks or Peter Green or Patrick Kilpatrick, so there's a lot of that. Everett McGill. It's got a good cast in it. But yeah, it is. And Seagal is a charisma void in this movie. He certainly was better in some of his earlier movies, even though he's always still Steven Seagal. He is like, someone set him to fucking frappe. He's like on low, in this movie. All right, let's move over to, I can't wait to hear Stu's. So we're going to go to Stu. I want to find out what Stu, because Stu seemed surly at me earlier today when he asked me if we were still recording this tonight. And he said, what was it? I hope I'm not just doing this for my life.
Yeah, I hadn't heard from you since last Friday, so I texted you to make sure we were still recording tonight because I had just started this movie, and you said yes, and I said good because I'm not watching this movie for my fucking health.
Yeah, health. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's bad. I don't know what to tell you. This movie's real shit. Seagal can't act. I don't know if he could ever act, but he can't act in this movie. He has one facial expression. He has one tone of voice. Nothing matters to him. If he doesn't care about anything that's going on, why should I care about anything that's going on? The action is bad and boring for what's supposed to be an action blockbuster movie. There is no standout action scene in this movie. Morris Chestnut is mildly entertaining at best, but he's the best thing this movie has going for it. This movie's a 1. This movie's really bad. Of every movie I've seen this year for the first time, this is the worst when I'm not counting like Mystery Science Theater movies that I watched.
Oh man, that makes me so proud.
I gave this the worst score. Let me see what this finished below. Give me 1 second to go into my list. First time watches in 2025. Under Siege 2 finished below Bordello of Blood.
Oh, I listened to your episode. You really didn't like that one either.
And I despised that movie. It finished below 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. It finished below Cool World. It finished below the remake of Prom Night.
Would you have preferred Under Siege 2 if Dennis Miller was the bad guy? Hey, babe.
It's really bad. There's no redeeming value to this movie. I give on Letterboxd, every movie gets 2 ups and 2 downs. I struggled so hard to come up with a second up for this movie when the first up is just Morris Chestnut is okay. The second up I gave it was like, there are some practical effects and they're not bad, but it's bad. It's a 1 out of 5. I hope to never watch anything this bad the rest of the year.
I don't go as low as you, obviously, but I think a heavy portion of even though my score has dipped, I think a heavy portion of mine is just kind of nostalgia based. Like maybe I'm just thinking back to a time where, I was, 20 years old and going to see movies like this and having fun. Patrick, what do you give it? What do you give Under Siege 2? Dark Territory.
So I rewatched both of them for the show. It was kind of interesting because I didn't like the first one as much as I remember liking. And this one I didn't hate as much as I thought I would hate, but it's still not a very good movie. I think the concept on paper sounds great. Die Hard on a train, but it really limits the kind of action you could do. It's just, you could just run up and down the train. You can get on the roof. You can get off the roof. You can leave the train. You can come back. It's not like a skyscraper or a ship, an office building, something like that where there's a lot of room for maneuver. So unfortunately, it becomes very repetitive. Ryback pops up, breaks the guy's neck, pops back down. Penn's like, who did that?
Did you see a body?
Exactly. Eric Bogosian actually is the best part of this movie. It looks like he's enjoying his paycheck. He's having fun. He's kind of chewing the scenery. I think he understood the assignment of being a colorful, over-the-top villain. I'd say he's about 2/3 Hans Gruber in this.
Ooh, that's very generous.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling generous today, I guess. Unfortunately, Hans had a better plot to work with. This plot's too convoluted, and the fact that so much of the threat is like just on a screen as opposed to seeing something really blow up. They didn't have the budget for that, I guess. So that also makes it a little boring when like the bad guy kind of cracks the whip, and it's just like, oh, something went bright on the screen. So there's just too many ways, too many little things that diminish the overall film. And like I said, Seagal, at this point, he had really kind of disappeared up his own ass, and as far as like believing the press about himself. This was when he was appearing. I mean, there was a time, brief time, when he was sort of humble in the beginning and sort of was, I'm learning how to act. I just want to be the best, make the best movie I can. And then he's going on talk shows and like just claiming unambiguously that he was a former CIA operative and he trained special forces guys. Just pure nonsense. And you're never sure if he really believes his own bullshit or if he's, he's putting on an act, and he's aware of that. I think at this point he was tipping into, I really believe this bullshit character I've created for myself. So he threw his weight around. Apparently he would, whenever he was on set, he would just over direct the director and tell everybody what they were going to do and rewrite the dialogue on the fly. And like you said, nothing ever bothered him. His character did not seem to really care. His niece was in danger of being perhaps raped, definitely killed. And it doesn't faze him at all. He's just mildly annoyed the whole movie. Yeah. He's got that one note. I give this, I think overall I'll give it like a 2.
Okay.
It's not terrible. It's watchable. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but it's one of those, it's Saturday afternoon and I broke my leg and I can't find the remote and the TV's on and I don't want to get off the couch and look for it. So I'll watch Under Siege 2. It's that kind of movie.
I would just fall asleep instead.
I think what we should do is I think the three of us should come back at some point, maybe over on the Patreon, on the Pint Insider, and maybe do like Above the Law and see if Stu,
I would love to revisit Above the Law. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. We'll see if Stu feels any better about earlier Seagal. Because I agree with you, Patrick. I think he did have some better ones in his oeuvre than this one for sure. For sure. All right, so that is us talking about Under Siege 2. Dark Territory. So this is the last week of July, summertime 1990s. Thank you guys for hanging in. If you're a Pint Insider, do not forget, over on the Pint Insider this month, you're going to get 2 summertime 1990s episodes. We're doing Wolf, starring Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, and we are doing the Charlie Sheen vehicle, The Arrival. That's right. We're talking aliens and all that stuff. Next month is August, and we are taking the month off, except for the Pint Insider. We'll have 2 episodes up in August, but on the main feed, I need a break. We usually do this in November. The Manster's having a surgery in July, so it's just perfect for us to do that. Over on the Pint Insider in August, I'll only tell you 1 episode because I couldn't put it out in the regular feed, but you're going to hear me and Patrick talk all about Crawl, fantasy film from 1983.
Crawl. Okay, Crawl. I thought you said Crawl, like the alligator film.
Krull, Crawl. And then we will be back in September, full blast, and we're going to be doing all 80s films between the regular feed and the patron feed. And then, of course, that moves us into October, all horror movies. And we're also in October going to be hitting our 400th episode. So a lot of exciting things happening, but next month, not a lot of exciting stuff happening. So if you want some Pint in your life, go over $2.50 a month. You could jump on the Insider. You not only hear the episodes we put out in August, but there's like 85 episodes before that. So you can go back in August and listen to a whole bunch of shit on there that we put out for people. Fun stuff like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, Godzilla 1998, Lethal Weapon, Psycho 1998. We do a lot of things you haven't heard of. The Lost Boys, for fuck's sake. We did a Lost Boys episode and it's only there. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it always when you guys come on. And until next time, see ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!